number one problem in today's generation and economy is the lack of financial literacy. And someone once said that you should never stand begging for that which you have the power to earn. So which translates to the fact that you should not focus on money. Instead, focus on a problem that needs to be solved for the world. Good morning and welcome to another edition of Accelerate Lagos here on Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. It is a weekly tonic on the Lagos State government effort to reduce unemployment to the barest minimum in Lagos. And yes, the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund is the agency saddled with this responsibility of giving all it takes to entrepreneurs in Lagos to keep them going in the business. Today on the program, we shall be focusing on financial literacy, tips for new business owners. My guests are in the studio already, and yes, you can be a part of the program just if you can keep us company from now all the way till about 11. And yes, intermittently in the course of the program, I will be updating you on what the roads are looking like. But generally, let me state that from the early hours of today, we've had a very good movement. Looking through the big screen in the studio, I can tell you authoritatively that the status quo remains the same. On Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, all the way from Beja and down to Yanawuru, it is looking very good. I can also confirm to you that Ikorodu Road, pushing through Ojota, Maryland axis, in and out is free. Just keep it within the speed limit and look out for other road users even as you navigate in and around Lagos. It's going to be all ladies affair. I have Kome Sieboma, they are both from the LSCTF, and this morning we're going to be talking about Jay.
Fine, thank you.
All right,
Very
it's
fine.
good to have you on board. Let's get down to business now, because a lot of people just, we hear a whole lot of terms lately, from financial literacy to resilience to, what is it called now? There is this word used for growth. Okay, a bit of transformation, evolving, you know, a whole lot of words adding up to the vocabulary that we use now. But then let's focus on financial literacy. Of course, these words, we understand they've been in existence, but you see, English evolved. These words evolved. Things you've not heard for years, you will start hearing them because people keep growing, we keep improving, we keep evolving. So let's focus on financial literacy this morning and why it is crucial for new business owners to understand this concept from the onset. I'll start with you, Kome.
Okay, good morning again. Financial literacy, very, very simply, it's one's ability to understand and to use various financial skills such as personal finance management, budgeting, investing, understanding your business cash flow, etc. So it's just skills, knowledge, and then understanding the skills, knowledge, and using them to manage and make informed decisions about your business and about money.
Okay then. All right, Sarah. What are the foundational financial skills every business owner should possess?
Okay, so what I would say the foundational skills that every business owner should have is forecasting and budgeting. And why that is very important is when you're a growing business, starting your business, you need to understand how to forecast and how to budget, and also understanding the difference between your cash flow and profit. What this means is you necessarily must be empowered to making sure that whatever money is coming into this business, you can understand what it means and how this can also help you to build sound cash flow for even your profit and loss, and even just managing that. And one example that I would give is for businesses, you will hear things like, oh, I don't know how much profit I'm making. Everyone does things, or the money that is coming into this business as revenue means that is the money that you're making. But meanwhile, it might not necessarily mean that you're making a profit as a business. It might just mean that you're actually, there's a cash flow coming in. And it also helps you as a business owner not excessively spend on the things that are not necessary, because when you can budget right, you know what is important for your business and how to just make sure that you're making sound decision. So I would say budgeting. I would also say proper cash flow management, and also making sure that you understand the difference between direct costing for your business too.
You did mention forecast. How do you mean?
So when we say forecast, for example, I'll give my example as a business owner, and then Kome, who is the financial expert in the house. So as a business owner, let's say, for example, for 2024, you need to forecast how you want your business to also run. So when you're saying forecasting for your business in 2024, is what are the necessary things? What are the necessary things that you need for this business year? How do you, like projections? So you're saying that in this business year, I want to make a revenue of 200 million, or I want to make a revenue of 200 billion. So you're forecasting the way on how you need to get to that place, and the amount, the economics of scale on how to make sure that you're building that. So I think I'll just transfer you back to Kome to give us like more details in terms of it.
All right, over to you, Kome.
Okay, so a forecast is basically an estimation of your future business performance in terms of your revenue and your expenses based on the actual economics or the actual macroeconomic factors and other things that impact your business. So for instance, say in 2024, you had planned at the beginning of the year to make, to sell 2,000 bags at 50,000 naira based on the exchange rate at the beginning of the year. But then in the first quarter of the year, there's been a lot of upheaval exactly on the exchange rate. So based on that, what has happened in Q1, you then adjust your budget that you have set to then forecast what your actual revenue would be and what, you know, the business level you'll be able to achieve based on the things that have happened in the first quarter of the year.
All right then. Before we go on, for financial literacy, can you give tips? You are the expert in the house. Can you give a layman tip, like what you should know ordinarily? Because I know for things like this, sometimes it requires a bit of training, or should we just say training? But then there are some common sense things that you just need to know about financial literacy. What are those things?
Okay, first common sense thing is being able to identify your revenue. Your revenue is your turnover or your sales, the money that you make from your business. That's the very first common sense thing. And then the next thing will be, the next logical step will be to understand your direct costs. So how the goods that you sell, or the business that you make, or the service that you provide, how much is it costing you directly? So if you are an importer, what's the cost to bring in your goods? If you are a manufacturer, what's the cost to manufacture 1 unit of what you sell? So you need to be able to also determine, and forget all the big English. It's just, like I said, common sense. How much will it take to make 1 unit of what I sell, or to provide the service that I provide? So those are two important things to even know at a gross level, if you are making a gross profit or gross loss, to help you price your product or service accordingly. That's one. Another common sense thing to do will be to understand, to estimate your business levels, like to draw up your budgets. So you want to make money, everybody wants to make money, but how much money do you want to make? And how does the ebb and flow of your business over the course of the year, you know, how does that affect how you determine how much money you want to make? Then I think the final common sense thing, not to go to technical, would be understanding the difference between, like she mentioned it earlier, cash flow and your profits.
Okay.
You can be making a paper profit, but there's no cash to run the business, especially if you're someone whose business heavily relies on debt. So yes, you're using debt to fund your business, but then you're also paying back a huge amount of what you're making to service your loans. So you need to understand the difference between, yes, I'm making money, my business is having a profit, and there is cash in the bank to run the business.
All right then. So, still staying on financial literacy, what are some common financial pitfalls, that is, mistakes new business owners should avoid? As a matter of fact, what are some of the common mistakes? Okay, I would ask you that, Sarah. Let me come to you first, Sarah,
No
on this
problem.
one. What are some of the common mistakes entrepreneurs make? Before we return to Boma to tell us some of common mistakes and how they can avoid it.
Okay, so I would say from a business owner perspective, it will be separating personal finance from business finance. So from experience, I know that when I started my business, one of the things that really helped me fully understand that concept was because I had to go through a training by the Tony Milu Foundation. And in that training, we're properly taught how to, or when you're starting your business, make sure that the first thing you're doing is knowing how to separate your business finances from your personal finances.
How do you do that?
So I will give an example. As a business owner, you might not necessarily have registered your business, maybe because maybe you're starting today, and you don't have the necessary identification to launch that business. If you have 5 bank accounts, what you can do is just pick one of those 5 bank accounts and use that. So you know that every time you're going to be sharing, anytime somebody wants to patronize this business, do anything with you, you share that bank account with this person. That way you can see all the trails. Anytime you need to go back to that account, all you just need to do is see that this is all the money that's coming through here, the revenue for the businesses. And even if as a business owner, as you're starting out, you want to take from that, you can always write, letting yourself know that, you're making this, you're borrowing this expense from your business, and you're making sure that in the future you have to account for that and making sure that you're returning back. So that's one step. The second one that I will also say is not being accountable to yourself even as a business owner. Seeing us make that mistake that even when you're borrowing, your business is still struggling, you're starting out, I would advise that make sure that you're accountable. So you're giving yourself a timeline to say, in the next 2 to 3 years, I maybe want to get an accountant. In the next 3, you might not be able to afford it now. It's not an excuse. Start to what it is that you can afford right now, and then build up from there. So I think I'll just pass it to Kome.
Okay, Kome. Now let's now look at how to avoid these mistakes.
Okay. First of all, she already mentioned separate your business expense from your personal expense. If possible, put yourself on a salary so that you know that, okay, this is the money that I need to survive or subsist on, and then the rest of the money is for the business. I say something to people that I speak with, that sometimes we are very religious, we pray against, all the powers and principalities blocking my success, blocking my business success. But sometimes you're the principality standing in your own way because you're not, the money you're supposed to put back in the business, you're spending it on yourself to fund your lifestyle. So very, very critical. Let that demarcation be there, and then try and live within the means. If it means getting an additional source of income to augment, till your business can fully fund your lifestyle on the salary that you aim to achieve. But that is very, very critical. Another thing is to understand the numbers of your business. Some SMEs feel like it's a small business, I really don't need to, I have an idea, it's all in my head, I can estimate, but they don't keep accurate records, they don't track. So they're not even able to determine, if their business is growing, if it's not growing, and the impact of expenses and costs on their business. So understand the numbers of your business, how much, like I explained earlier, how much are you making, what's your direct cost, and then all the other smaller expenses that are that sum up to running the business. You buy fuel for your generator, you buy ink for your printer, and all of these things are expenses that you spend on the business. How much are those things, little things, costing you? How much is your salary if you pay people costing you? Even your own time, how do you value it and charge it to the business as an expense? So understand your business numbers. Understanding your business numbers will help you, even plan better and avoid that mistake of spending money that you're not supposed to spend on yourself.
All right then. Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. The program is still Accelerate Lagos. And if you're wondering who I have been speaking with, I have Kome Esiopama and Sarah Kasim, both of Bumper, and they are in the studio this morning to talk about financial literacy tips for new business owners. And let's see, I missed the call earlier. You can please put your calls through again. I would love to hear from you. Quickly, let's take a look at what the roads are saying. Like I said earlier, the big screen in the studio indicates that Lagos Metropolis is looking very good. We'll return to the control room shortly after this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
All right. Say that
Want to
again.
go to what is happening at Solomon?
Are you at
Like
fault?
now, yes, I'm going towards Banana Island, but we just see that the road was blocked, and there is not even hear any announcement.
Okay, Walioba, you would have to listen through the radio because I know I have been saying this. I do not have any report of any breakdown there, but one thing is for sure, the Eid prayers should be over by now, but most likely you would have people pulling out of the prayer ground and then vehicles parked around these prayer grounds. That certainly would impede the flow of traffic, and I'm sure I have been saying from the early hours of today. Is that fine?
Okay. Because everybody that coming from BI that want to go to Ikoyi, you cannot even enter.
All right, Walioba.
Police people, you cannot even ask them for anything. It's not good.
Okay, Walioba, can we give it time, please, and see if it will fizzle out? Thank you. All right, Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. Let's quickly tell you that Alakpere axis, it's good from the toll gate connecting Alakpere Ogudu Ifako, despite parking at the Muslim community prayer ground. Okay, that's a fair one around Ogudu there. Bariga Yanowuru axis in Yanowuru. Inward and outward of the third mainland bridge is looking very good. Charlie Boy, inward and outward is also good. Bariga is calm. All right, amazing. Control room, can you please help check what's going on around Falomo? Wale Oba just called in, and well, I'm just guessing that it is the prayer ground activities, and absolutely, once that fizzles out, you will have better movement. Like we have around PWD, it is busy between Ilezi and Ajayi Farm, and that's due to presence of worshippers. This was around 9:33, and I can tell you for a fact that it would take at least 30 to 45 minutes for this to fizzle out, depending on how large the prayer ground is. So please, let's be patient navigating through these areas. Thank you. All right, let's continue with our conversation. This morning, we're talking financial literacy tips for new business owners. So, Sarah, many entrepreneurs struggle with separating personal and business finances. How can entrepreneurs manage these effectively?
Okay, so I would say that the first thing is setting clear boundaries between your business and your business expense and also your personal expense. I think that that's one thing that is very fundamental when you can set clear boundaries on these two expenses. The other thing which I already mentioned is making sure that you have separate accounts. It's very important, and like I said, I understand that when you're starting out, it can be a bit difficult to have every documentation you need to register your business as a bank account, for example. For business name, you might need to have your team identification for your tax and all of those examples. But even if you can't, I want to believe that there are even startups who necessarily can open business accounts for your business name, and as time goes on, when you get to a limit of the revenue flow coming to your business, then you need to now upgrade that account. So another final thing that I will also add is also making sure you're recording all transactions, like Home said. And this is very, very important because we've seen cases where I give an example, as somebody in the fashion space, you are calculating the cost of what it actually means to make a dress. When you make this dress, if you don't necessarily keep record of all of the transactions, let's say the cost of having to take transportation to the market, maybe at the market something happened, you had to recharge your phone. When you're coming back, you had to do this. When you're even calling the customer to ask some specific questions, if you don't keep proper records, you can, like Kumi mentioned, you can miss out on those things that seem seemingly small and very mundane. And if you don't keep those kind of records, at the end of the day, you just see that you have a lot of money coming in, but you're wondering, it doesn't feel like this money is staying in the business. So I would just make advice, make sure that you have clear boundaries, make sure that you've read, you have separate accounts on to run your business, and also making sure that you avoid spending your business money like we said, so that you're not your village. You're not.
You won't accuse your village people.
I agree.
Okay, but you know, a typical youth in this part of the world is actually struggling to survive, let alone investing in a business. So he or she would go all out, put everything together to invest in that business. Now, how can such a person now discipline him or herself from taking money from the business to run a personal life?
So
because you have put all your everything now into that business. How do you now survive? Because it takes a whole lot to even invest in business as we speak.
So I like what Kume mentioned about making sure you're paying yourself. And why I'm saying, I'll give like an example. I know that as business owners, sometimes we've put in everything that you need to put in to make sure that this business is successful. I think that from my own angle, what I will first say is even like a mindset. When I say mindset is, I know that right now it seems like everything seems tough, everything seems difficult. You're putting everything into this business. How do you fund your own lifestyle? What I would advise is give yourself time. So you're saying that as I'm starting this business right now, I might not be earning as much as I'm supposed to be earning from this business in the moment, but 6 months, 1 year down the line, it could change. And something else Kuno mentioned about if you need to get an extra source of income in the meantime, and that's why mindset and goal setting, you know, when you set smart goals, specific goals. So when you know that right now this business cannot afford me, what extra skills that we have, what extra skill do I have in making sure that another stream of income, if it might be content creation, whatever it is that you're asking yourself that you can do, you can start that, and then give yourself a timeline to say, oh, in the next 6 months, in the next 1 year, 2 years, when my business, let's say for example, gets to 200 million, then I would stop whatever it is, and it already shows that this business already has life on its own, and now you need focus. So when you feel like this business can now afford the lifestyle that I want from the salary you're earning, not obviously not from your business expense, then you can decide to do. And one final thing that I would say is every business, when they started, they didn't start off as multi-millionaire business. It takes determination, it takes resilience, it takes grit, it takes ambitions. You know that mindset of, you know that regardless of whatever it is, I would make sure that I don't give up on this business. So when you have those kind of mindset, it just helps you and keeps you going even in the long run.
All right then, let me come to you on this one. As a financial expert, what are some of the fundamental financial principles that every new business owner should understand?
Okay, I think that our entire conversation, has been speaking to some of them already.
Okay.
So we've spoken about budgeting. It is very, very, very critical that you're able to budget and to forecast, do your forecast. One thing about budgets, if you're a completely new business, there are other people who have done who are probably doing similar things to what you want to do. So you can, just check their social media, check them out to see, just to be able to estimate how much you can potentially make, or how many customers you can potentially onboard in the first couple of months. But the essence of budgeting is to help you understand, to estimate how much you can make and how much it will cost you to make that money that you're going to make. So budgeting is very, very key. As a new business owner, there's data. What I tell small businesses is that there's data. Yes, you're small. It doesn't mean you don't have data that you can use to draw up your budget. There's data everywhere. It just depends on where you're looking and what you have in mind when you're looking. So based on the economy, based on your current customer base, how much do you expect to grow by? How many more customers do you think you can add on to what you have? Do you want to get a bigger store, expand your business offerings in different locations or localities? So your budget is very, very important, and it will help you estimate all of that, and then also estimate how much you're going to spend to make the money that you plan to make. Then I think another thing is very key for small business owners to understand is key financial terms. So when they talk about revenue, you should understand what revenue is, what an expense is. Revenue is the money that your business makes, your turnover, the monies that you receive from people.
So what other terms should they know?
Your direct costs. I'd explained direct cost earlier. That's the money, the cost of producing what you sell, or creating the service that you provide. Those are your direct costs.
Okay.
Your gross profit is just your revenue minus your direct costs. That's your gross profit, and that's the first determinant of if your business is going to succeed or not. Because if you're making a loss at that level, then you know that you have a problem. You either have to increase your pricing or look for something else to sell or another service to provide. Net profit. Your net profit is your gross profit minus all the other expenses to run the business. That gives you your net profit, and then that's what you then become taxed on. Or you if you have money left over, you can you add it to your retained earnings to put back into the business, to grow your business. Or if you're making a loss, then it tells you that maybe you need to reduce the money that you're spending, your overhead costs to run the business. Maybe you should move to a cheaper location for rent, minimize the usage of your fuel and electricity and all of that.
Or probably downsize.
Exactly, or downsize, exactly.
Well, it's funny, but it is inevitable, in business, because we have to be realistic.
Yes.
Sometimes you assume that, okay, you need more than enough hands, and at the end of the day, you realize that, people can multitask.
Exactly.
And you move on from there. All right, then. Let's talk about cash flow management now and some practical strategies for ensuring healthy cash flow. Sarah?
Okay, so to talk about that, one of the things that I will say is that for cash flow management, and I will just say my own bit as a business owner, then just move over to Kume to answer that, is make sure that you, as much as possible, keep an healthy and positive cash flow. It's very.
What does that even mean?
So making sure that you have cash at hand to work as much as you can, particularly for businesses who need cash when they need to. So let's say, for example, I have a fashion business, Kume has a shoe business, and customers are buying dresses, customers are buying shoes from Kume, and when it's time to go and restock, buy fabrics, buy the things you need to do, Kume is able to go back to the market to buy those things, and I'm not necessarily able to do that. Maybe, I don't know, I don't want to assume whatever the reason is in that moment. It could be maybe, like Kume mentioned, overhead cost, you're spending so much expenses on your rent, you're spending on electricity, powering your generator, or like just doing things that the business right now cannot necessarily afford. You know how sometimes it's good to be ambitious, but sometimes you need to face reality.
It's good to aim high.
Exactly. But even in that aiming higher, you need to look at your numbers and be able to determine and decide this is what it is that we can do right now. So if I'm not able to go back to the market to buy things that I'm supposed to buy to run my business, it means that and the reason is because I don't have cash. That would necessarily mean that right now I don't have a healthy business cash flow for that business. So Kume's business, so at the end of the day, my business might end up just dying, and it's not necessarily because I didn't know what I'm supposed to do. Or I didn't have the right tools or the right things. It's just when it was supposed to be time to buy, I'm not able to afford to go back to the market to buy. So that's putting it in simple layman terms. So I'll transfer it to Kume to give us like the experts point of view.
Go ahead, Kume.
Okay, so cash flow is just how cash flows through the business, how you receive money and how you spend it to meet obligations for the business. There's what we call working capital management. What she's referring to is working capital management. Now, your working capital is the money that you need to run the business on a day-to-day, to pay your suppliers, pay your staff, to run expenses, and then you have to be able to estimate it based on the money that you from your customers on a monthly basis, which is again why your budget is important. So you can estimate based on the level that you've decided that you're going to grow, and the cash that you receive from customers on a monthly basis, how much will it cost you to pay your staff, to if you're in debt, pay off your loans, to run the business, run the office and all of that, and then how much will it also cost you to restock the items that you sell, and how much are you receiving from your customers. You have a problem if the money you're receiving from your customers is less than the amount that you're paying out on a monthly basis, because that's where people then go to get loans and then put themselves in more problems, so to speak, if they don't know how to manage their cash working capital. And then working capital also speaks to things like when you have like a big cash flow management, speaks to things like when you have a big expense coming up, like your rent. How do you start to plan ahead so that it's not in the month that you have to pay the rent that you're trying to raise the entire exactly. So that's what working capital and cash flow management is all about. And how you can do that, one, again, separate your business money from your personal money, so that if you see 5 million in your account, the 5 million is not for you as the business owner, it's for the business. And then you know that you're able to plan your expenses based on the 5 million, not that you take 3 million and then you still need like 4 million to run the business. So that's one thing. Track all your invoices, follow up on your customers. There's one thing we say in accounting, it's better that it's better that you owe people than people owe you. And then talking about owing your suppliers than for your customers to owe you. So manage that process effectively. Collect your payments from your customers, especially if you're someone who does business on credit, as quickly as possible. Use debt wisely. Debt, when used properly, is a very good tool. It will help you grow your business if you use it wisely. If you use it on things that would either increase your revenue, improve your efficiency, not for ostentatious things like revamping your office is a nice to have. But then, if push comes to shove, how will it affect your top line? How will it affect your revenue? Are you going to make more money? Are you going to reduce the time that it would take to produce? Are you going to improve your efficiency? That's what I'm trying to say. Are you going to improve your efficiency? Those are things that you need to consider when you're taking debt. You use it to improve your efficiency, that's churn out more products in a lower amount of time, or to direct anything, things that will directly impact your revenue. Then monitor your expenses. It is very, very important. Bookkeeping, record keeping is extremely important. Monitor your expenses so you can even tell if something is beginning to sort of go out of hand, so to speak, or if you need to make cuts, if you need to adjust, if you need to cut your quotes, lay off staff, or just do things that would reduce your cash burden. And I think for small business owners, don't spend your working capital on risky ventures or get rich quick schemes. Oh, I have this, if I quickly put it in this Ponzi scheme now, I can get 10 million naira in 2 days. And in fact, I will now use the money. It's a lie. That 5 million naira, it's low. So don't, you can do that with your personal money where you don't have so much at stake, but not with the business money that, if you don't get it back, you run into problems. So leave risky ventures for out of your business funds. Yes, I think that's
okay. So quickly, let's talk about budgeting, which can be daunting for entrepreneurs, especially when faced with fluctuating revenue. How can business owners create revenue and implement a realistic budget?
Okay, so budgeting is there are two ways to do your budget. You either do it based on historical performance, or you set an ambitious goal and use industry trends to determine how it will play out. So people typically do their budgets for a 1-year period, and existing businesses, what they would normally do is to go back to see how they've performed in previous years, how they've grown over previous years, how their revenue has been broken down or has performed on a monthly basis, and then use all of that data to then determine how much they can realistically grow in the coming year, and how they are going to break it down on a monthly basis, again based on historical data. Or you look at your industry, the industry that you're playing in. What is the opportunity? What are the opportunities that are abound in the industry, and how can your business take advantage of those opportunities? What are the trends based on past performance of the industry? Okay, in January, February, March, you usually have this number of shows, and if I can get on 2 of them, I'll be able to realistically make so amount of money. So those are ways that you can estimate your revenue budget. For your expenses, it's quite easy to determine how much you've spent in the past, and then just use it to map what you think you're going to spend. So are you going to employ a new staff? Are you going to maybe open up a new office space? Those are things that you consider when you're drawing up your budget.
Let's not fail to touch on these areas before we wrap it up, because we have just barely 3 minutes. So you answer each of these questions in a minute.
Okay.
So how does Bumper support business owners with financial literacy and management?
Okay. So one thing that I would say as a business owner, and just speaking about Bumper in like 1 minute, as you said, is Bumper is empowering businesses with the technology they need to manage and grow their businesses in Nigeria. And what that means is receiving payments, getting websites, tracking your customer. One thing was said here, myself and Kome, is making sure you're regularly tracking and monitoring these expenses. And one way Bumper has been able to do that is you on this application, you can go on Bumper, put in your expenses, track these expenses, and the beautiful thing is there's a dashboard that has like an analytic overview for your business. So from this you can even know what's your highest selling product, your best selling customer, best performing customer, best performing product. And Kume mentioned one thing that's very interesting about when something is not working, are you moving on to another product and looking at this trend to incorporate new products for your business. So Bumper helps you do all those things. When you know what your best performing product is, you're asking yourself questions around, do I need to make variations of this product so that I can sell these products more and make more money? The most important thing is making sure that you have cash consistently coming into this business so that you can keep running this business and also keep growing this business.
Tell me about Bumper in 30 seconds.
So one thing I would say as a business owner is Bumper helps you scale and grow your business. And what I mean in that simple term is, if you're struggling with seeing everything that your business lifestyle is, your business life cycle is, Bumper gives you that holistic view. And my own example as a business owner is, if you ask me what's my best selling channel, I'll tell you it's Instagram. Bumper empowered me to be able to know that Instagram is my best selling channel, so that I'm not wasting my money on other sources and channel thinking that those are my best. Bumper will just tell you it's Instagram, spend more money on Instagram to grow your business.
Amazing. So let's talk about LSCT of Bumper Financial Advisory Session. What are the objectives and how can businesses attend the sessions?
Okay, so the objectives of the collaboration between LSTF and Bumper is to arm business owners with skills that they need to grow their business, to understand the finances of their business. I know that financial terms can be a bit ambiguous and highfalutin words, but the collaboration is just to help people break it down as simply as possible and help everyone, regardless of your business type, understand how money works for you in your business and how you can take advantage of it.
All right. So as we take this home this morning, one word of advice for our listeners.
Okay, my word of advice would be separate your business money from your personal money. I think that's the beginning, and record all your transactions, no matter how small. They are important to understand how your business is doing.
All right,
Okay.
Sarah, your final word.
So for me, I would say set smart goals. Like Kome has said, that you need to understand the skill of to make smart financial decisions. But one thing I always say is set smart goals in a way that in the next 3 to 5 years, even if you don't necessarily understand it like to the nitty-gritty, you are telling yourself, oh, in the next 5 years, I need to hire somebody who understands this in detail, because sometimes you need to just make sure you're outsourcing the things that you don't necessarily, and focus on your own strengths and build this business to where you want it to be, and let the people who are in that who are experts like Kome grow and help your business succeed.
Help your business succeed. So I would add to that, Sarah, set smart goals, but not unrealistic
Exactly.
goals. All right, this is where we get to drop the anchor on today's edition of Accelerate Lagos here on Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. Today, we delve into the world of financial literacy. Tips for new business owners. I have been speaking with Kome Esioboma, the finance lead at Bumper, and Sarah Kasim, the business development and partnerships at Bumper also. Thank you so much, ladies, for coming on the program. Let me say a very big thank you to Renee Lekwaluku there, the social media team in general. Thank you so much, and massive thanks to Victor Terry. Our executive producer is Tayo Akonde. I remain Taiwo Baruwa.